You know, part of the research I do here to stay on top of things to help you on basic cable America, you're welcome, is I watch other news channels. I actually do. Other business channels. I actually do. Just to know some of the idiotic things they're saying. And I'm catching another news channel, and they're talking about people like Carly Fiorina and Donald Trump, and they're saying, you know, businessmen can never cut it in politics. They can never really cut it in Congress, and they can never really cut it in governorships, and they really can't cut it going for the brass ring, the presidency of the United States. And I'm thinking to myself, I know people who have come from the business world and done quite well in the business world and moved on over, transitioned over to the political world, and actually comported themselves quite well and get rave reviews from both sides of the aisle. One of them joins me right now, no matter what you think of his politics. There is no doubting that Congressman Darrell Issa is doing an okay job in Congress, and there is no doubting that he came into Congress as one of its richest members. A very, very successful businessman who's directed electronics, obviously became a huge multi-million-dollar operation. So he is proof that you can do well as a businessman in the political world. So on that angle, if you don't mind, Congressman, to this doubt people have about a Carly Fiorina or to a Donald Trump, and that they can't succeed. Because I'm thinking of guys like you, I'm thinking of guys like Michael Bloomberg. People don't have to agree with your politics or point of view, but there is no doubt that you thrived and thrive in this world, right?
Well, exactly, Neil. You know, everyone's dealing with the fact that Donald Trump hasn't taken off his way of doing business in the business world when he's come to the world of government. Maybe that's a mistake. Maybe it's simply a unique time and it's going to resonate. But whether it's George Washington, who would be a multi-billionaire if you looked at his lands and holdings today, or it's people with other life stories, not just business. Ronald Reagan, who was an actor, obviously Dwight David Eisenhower, who was a general, and came.
But it's business, Congressman, not to jump on you there, my friend, but it's businessmen and women who take a rap. I mean, it was Mitt Romney who was raked over the coals for laying off workers that he turned around, people ignoring the fact that many more jobs he ensured and grew. And it was Carly Fiorina who was ripped for the 30,000 layoffs at Hewlett-Packard in the middle of a technology freefall. Now, she turned that to an advantage by saying, I should do the same with government. But I am just saying that businessmen and women are cast in a particularly evil light. I don't think I'm wrong on that.
No, but it's sort of interesting. People are willing to have career politicians and lawyers, but then they're worried about somebody who's approved the signing of the front of a paycheck, not just endorsing the back.
That's a brilliant point. That's an excellent point. I also point out that business guys know math, which is, I think, a very foreign concept to a lot of your colleagues. The plus and minus thing, addition, subtraction, never got to that point. But if we don't get more business types in there, we'll never get these problems solved.
You won't, Neil, and you know, you have to listen to the business community if you're going to have our economy prosper. You have to understand government if you're going to make it work better, and you have to understand organizations regardless of where you are in government. And so that's why I did use President Eisenhower, who understood large organizations, and it was part of the success of his presidency. Look, one thing that I think can be said is when you try to go from any outside profession to this club of politics, you're almost always shunned if you try to start too high and you haven't been a dog catcher and a cat catcher and a mayor.
But how did you get elected? How did you pull it off yourself? Obviously, you've been reelected many times. You obviously, I'm good at creating jobs. I'm good at knowing what works. I'm good at generating type of things that help a community and a district in this case. Because obviously the party will need that advice now.
Well, I did it the same way Carly is trying to do it. I ran for the Senate against Barbara Boxer and lost. And then I came back and said, I still believe in serving in my government. And in my case, I chose the House. And I've been fighting ever since to try to take the bureaucracy and inefficiency, and I use the word without restraint, the corruption that's inherent in how government runs here and around the world. This is part of what a Trump message has to be, is that government doesn't serve us well. It's always about how much more money can you give us rather than how can we do more with less, something that in the private sector innovation has caused us to do.
Very well put. And I wanted to focus on just that, and you indulge me. So thank you, Congressman. Always good seeing you.
Good to see you.
And for you.